Another week, another podcast.
We're back.
Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody.
Yes. Hopefully everyone has taken some time off and not working.
Yeah, I know I did not do any work this weekend like I should have. We are, in fact, recording on Labor Day. Today is the 2nd.
Yes. And September already. The end of the year is coming.
Yes, it is. We are right around the corner. It is crazy.
I can't believe it.
This year has completely flown by.
Yeah, it's just one of those years that, don't really count. You know what I mean? Like, at least for me, like, it's just the same old routine I'm going through, not much, nothing crazy happened, which is like memorable.
Well, I had a lot of crazy stuff happen to me this year, and
that's true. That's true. You did. Yes.
Yeah. There's some mistakes. Some mistakes were made.
Mistakes are
some
okay.
lessons. Some tough lessons were learned.
Right.
But this is what we do here on the show. We grow.
Yes.
That's what everyone should be doing. And by this show, I of course mean the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
That's right. One of our listeners, or new listeners, I guess, or new he found us on YouTube. No, wait, he's one of our older ones. He asked, like, "Oh, you guys ghosted or whatever on YouTube, not ghosted,
blocked,
ghost band,
shadow band."
So, and I was like, well, I was trying to find them. Like, what do you mean? Like, are you searching for us, or we don't show up, or what? And then it took him a while to answer, but he said that he listens to us on a podcast version at work, and then if it's long enough and he's driving home, he wants to watch the rest on YouTube. And he says he gets home, he goes, he can't find it, and then he says, well, it doesn't help that someone else's named very similar to yours. I was like, oh man. So yeah, I just want to bring that up because you mentioned Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Yeah,
and I mean UAP is, I guess, everywhere now. We try to play on that, right?
I think in the long term it'll work out. Short term, maybe a little short-sighted on our part, but we're playing the long game here.
Yeah, and that is the nature of search engine optimization anyway. It's a long-term game, and it's basically it's the one who is more active and who's been around the longest.
And who has been around the longest is you. I have a need to know, Adam.
Are you calling me old?
No, you were here first. You started the recording.
Oh yes, that's right. So it's like twin, and you're Topher too.
The Tophering. So full disclosure, Adam was out of town this weekend, and I recorded the episode by myself. Got a good hour and 45 minutes in, only to save, download the file, check it out. None of the audio from the clips that I had played went through, so we are technically re-recording, even though Adam wasn't here the first time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you did it alone. It looked like it was lots of fun. Hour and 45 minutes. You went through everything.
It was great. I had a great time screaming at myself and scaring the neighbors.
I'm sure they loved it. It's probably a really quiet part of town, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
So for them, it's like, oh wow, what's happening? It's like a party going on.
Yeah, I was doing all the different voices, so it sounds like there were more than one person on the podcast. Oh, it was great. This is episode 87, by the way. We are creeping up on the 100th episode.
We're getting there. Yes, we are. And are you excited about that? Did you see us coming this far?
No. Yes, I don't know. I was hoping we'd make it this far. I wasn't sure if we were going to, but we clearly care a lot about the subject. We haven't been black bagged by the CIA yet, which means we're doing something wrong.
I think there's just too many of us now. It's
true.
I mean, they're going crazy.
Thin.
Yeah, I mean the mainstream media is losing the narrative completely.
Oh, they've lost it.
Yeah, because it's been decentralized, and the same thing goes here. So unless you're doing like advocating for violence and something really hectic that the algorithms will pick up and pass it on, I think you're okay.
We've only pushed for a little bit of violence. I'm kidding.
Yes, and then we but then if we do and it does come out, we always say, well, actually, we don't condone that.
Right,
and we don't.
We don't.
Even though the revolution was a violent act.
It sure was. And you know what? It was illegal. Did you know that? The American Revolution, totally illegal at the time. Not many people know that.
I'm sure it was. I mean, they remade it illegal too. I mean, because the Declaration of Independence does have in there a clause, right, for calls for revolution.
Yeah, but I mean, now they're pushing, all these articles that popped out of the woodwork this weekend saying how, old and outdated
I saw that,
the Constitution is, and we need to get rid of it and all this other jazz.
Of course they say that because it limits their power. They can't stand it. They hate even though it hasn't been perfect, it still has protected us and kept them at bay. And COVID was the proof to me, how the system of government works, to protect us. It could have been a complete nightmare.
Yeah, and I think just to emphasize what you're saying, I mean, the Constitution is in place to protect us, the people. Yes. It's not there to it is there to outline what the government can and can't do, but the whole point of our Constitution is to protect the rights of its citizens.
Yep, all rights, exactly. Even the rights of the minority, and but yeah, it's to limit the power of government and to tell them, like, look, your job is to protect our liberties. That's your job, and to enforce contracts, and then that can be expanded to, private property and so many other things. But yeah, unfortunately, we've gone far beyond that. Well, but that is not the subject of our podcast now, is it?
No, it is not.
So I'm going to say, since you already did this presentation, I'm going to go through pretty much what you went through. But, since you did it and it didn't come through, maybe you can just try to take us through it, and then we can converse about it. Yeah.
Well, I think the first big chunk of stuff I talked about, it wasn't the first couple of show clips I pulled up, but the big thing is Imminent by Lou Elizondo came out. So we're going to get in. That's going to be our first big chunk of time, but there's a couple articles here in the beginning that we should cover. We covered the Aurora crash of 1897 last week. Right. And of course, the day after we posted this episode, I found this article from 1904. It's not anything too crazy, but this ship off the coast of San Francisco saw these 3 glowing lights in the sky that all stayed in perfect formation, hung around, moved towards them, and then zoomed away. But the lead object was egg-shaped, which is interesting. The other 2 were described as being perfectly round.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So it's just a short little blip here.
Was that the one that was leading the egg? Oh, the lead object was egg-shaped. Very cool. And about the size of 6 suns.
Yeah, I think the way they're doing that is like, this is the way I read it. Maybe, I mean, this has to be, right? You look at the sun up in the sky, and then you just put that, in your head, you imagine 6 of those next to each other. Exactly. It's not the size of literally 6 suns. I mean, that would be insane.
No, exactly. In the sky. And this is the Navy, right? So this is how the Navy, and they use this, use stars and whatnot to navigate too. I mean, it's still 1904, so it's not like we had radar or anything. So it makes sense that they'll speak like that.
Mm-hmm. And it was the USS Supply at 6:10 in the morning.
Man, that's so. Imagine seeing that in 1904.
Yeah, I don't know what you'd think. Now, again, this is one of those things where I wonder if it's one ship, and you're only seeing the propulsion from 3 different sources, or if this could be 3 ships, moving in unison,
which appear near the horizon, mostly directed. As they approached, the UFOs began soaring, rose above the clouds, were observed. Okay, still in echelon. So echelon means in a triangle shape, right?
Right. This is why I'm asking. Maybe
and they stayed, still in echelon. So they wouldn't know. Right. They would think that it's 3 separate objects, just in formation.
Yeah,
if that was the case.
And very cool. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was, but yeah, just another cool sighting from around that time.
And exactly, and timely for what we covered last week.
Right.
And then this one, the Gilgamesh tomb. This is a cool one.
I love this stuff, man.
Yeah. And that region of the world is just full of this history. Mm-hmm. And no wonder why they're blowing it up, you know what I mean? And taking all that and and destroying our history too. Or they're just obsessed with the narrative being them.
Yep.
They want to be the stars of the story, probably.
Every time.
All right, so let's take a listen here.
Have you ever heard of the story of Gilgamesh? The story was written 2000 BC.
Well, wait, have you read the Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh?
I know the general outline of it. That's about it.
Okay. I remember taking it for one of the first courses in college. Was that a history course? I think it was. I think he went through Sumeria. And back then, I didn't even know that much. Like, just looking back, man, I wish I really paid attention to that class, because I'm way more interested now.
Right.
Than I was then. Because I remember he even that whole, and he was just a boring teacher. Like, I would fall asleep. But I remember the Epic of Gilgamesh and him talking about him spying on the gods and all that stuff. But
that's the problem, though. You need someone teaching it who teaches it in a fun way. Like,
right.
Some of my favorite and least favorite classes have been history, and it all just depends on the teacher. If they bring a fun atmosphere into it, it's a lot of fun. You know, I still remember my 6th grade teacher, shout out to Mr. Streeter, teaching us about the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans. And I loved that stuff because he taught it in such a fun way.
So true. And I think also good teachers will try to relate it where some of it's relatable, because kids or young adults need something that's related in their bubble, because we're just too busy in our bubble, and us. So I think those teachers that can penetrate that are really good. All right, so let's continue this. Gilgamesh.
Story talks about how he was 2/3 God and 1/3 man. The claim was that he was 17 feet tall.
Oh, man.
And he was this brutal king, like a tyrant. But the story goes that he was buried under the Euphrates River.
That's drying up.
Well, here's the thing. In 2003, archaeologist by the name of Jorg Fassbinder, he was in the Mesopotamia area doing the whole LiDAR thing. And what he said is, I have found the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Oh my gosh.
But it's underground, right? So they have to dig it up. Guess what happened 1 month later?
Earthquake.
The U.S. invades Iraq.
Oh my gosh!
No way.
This is where it gets crazy.
Yeah.
All the archaeological sites were then stopped in Iraq. So stop digging. You're out of here. And the U.S. military set up an encampment around the tomb site. But the locals around this encampment reported that the U.S. military were digging at night, taking things out of the ground and putting them onto trucks and driving them off.
Yeah, not surprised. It's probably in the homes of billionaires anyway in the U.S.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of history always gets plundered by the invaders? It sucks.
Right, and that was one of the first things too. I mean, other than this story, but in the mainstream news, it was, if you read, shortly after the war began, the first things that were stolen were artifacts from the museums and all that stuff.
And we invaded Iraq because even though the pilots were Saudi, everything was exploded and melted. They found a full intact Iraqi passport. Is that what happened?
No, they never found the Iraqi. I wish they had found an Iraqi passport. I mean, it was basically. I mean, the truth is, right? It was wrong intelligence. A lot of it came from the Israelis, right? Yellow cake and weapons of mass destruction, and that
mass hysteria.
And they tried to link him to Al Qaeda, which Saddam did not like any of those groups. Actually, it was a secular state with lots of Christians. There's no more Christians there anymore. After the war, of course, all by design as well.
And it was HW's cabinet that put Saddam in power there. Pretty
much, yeah. And the CIA worked with him. Even Rumsfeld, there's a video of Rumsfeld going on over there. There's a video of him shaking hands with Saddam. And I forget which night show played that. And he's like, where'd you get that footage? Rumsfeld.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but we were selling him, and because we were using him to fight Iran, and we were selling him chemical weapons. Terrible. So yes, where she says something very.
We're villains.
Oh, there we go. Right after what we just said. I mean, yes. Unfortunately, that's the truth. Many millions of Iraqis died, and many millions fled.
Yeah.
The good news is China's in there. And
that's definitely good news.
Well, I mean, they're building infrastructure for them. Instead of destroying the country, they're building infrastructure. There's roads, there's buildings, there's hospitals being built. I mean, it was hell for so long. And that country has so much potential. It can easily be $1 trillion economy. I mean, it doesn't just it has oil, it has water, it has agriculture, it has history, it's set up to be a very successful country, but
I think what surprises me the most, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. When you look at photography, like nature photography, of the different landscapes in Iraq, it is absolutely gorgeous there.
Yeah.
You know,
really
everyone,
is.
of course, thinks about the bombed out buildings, and of course, that looks terrible. But it's a beautiful country.
It is a beautiful country, yeah, and rich with history, rich with resources, very smart people. I think I mentioned here on the show. Did I mention to you about that app? Yeah, you know about it, the radio app.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can go through that region, like the Middle East, and there's always radio shows about the Quran, right? There's tons of those, and then you go to like Lebanon. There's lots of music ones. Jordan also lots of music ones. Syria's only Arabic music. But then if you go to Iraq, there'll be like these talk shows about philosophy, and then music would have like classical music, like stuff you wouldn't hear in any of the neighboring other countries. So I don't know. I think to me that it sounds like there's some more cultured, or they're very cultured people, even though they've been through so many wars. All right. So next up, you got. Yeah, that's right. So we have a new boss in town.
New boss. Kirkpatrick's out. He's been out for a while. This is from News Nation. Pentagon appoints new UFO office director. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Scroll down.
Kozlowski. Yeah.
John T. Kozlowski will be the next leader of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARROW. They investigate sightings of UAPs. Hopefully everyone knows that by now. But Kozlowski has a background that includes quantum optics and crypto mathematics, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, it is really cool. He worked for the NSA before, National Security Agency.
Makes sense with his background.
Yeah, definitely. So, we'll give him a chance, right? I mean,
at the end of the day, it's not on this one person to be the arbiter of truth and justice. Kirkpatrick chose the easy way out, where he's going to be a mouthpiece for whatever the government tells him to do.
Yeah.
I don't think Dr. Kozlowski will be any different, because they're not allowed to be any different. They can't get into this position of power without sucking the teats of the government.
That's very true. And Kirkpatrick, he was not transparent. He did not investigate anything, or he didn't release anything that was anomalous. Let's say that. Like if they said they solved it, it'll be released. He didn't really investigate anything, especially from the whistleblowers that came to him. He just said that they were misinformed or didn't know what they were talking about.
Or he would just lie about stuff and,
yes, and the lying.
Continuously get caught lying.
Yeah, exactly. Like Merrick, right? He on his interview with him, he caught him lying twice. And even when he confronted him, he continued to lie. Like the guy can lie with like there's nothing going on. Man, sick people. So this guy hopefully won't be as bad, but let's not hold our breath. They're not going to give us any truth.
Yeah, well, it's like Cold Heart. We'll cover him a lot later this episode. He says waiting for government disclosure is a waste of time, and I tend to agree.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So there was also an article by Liberation Times, and they basically go through why Kirkpatrick, was really bad news, and one of the things, he was very involved with gutting the UAP Disclosure Act, which actually, well, this guy's saying sources inform Liberation Times that Dr. Kozlowski is showing promising signs of adopting a new approach to the UAP topic, particularly in investigations related to allegations of retrieval and reverse engineering programs involving materials and biologics of non-human intelligence or unknown origin. However, it is still too early to predict the direction Dr. Kozlowski will take. Now, this could be just PSYOP.
Yeah,
information being sent to him.
Journalism is dead. I mean, you can't reveal your sources, but I always have to scoff when I see sources say this or that, because it means nothing.
Right. So Liberation Times also inquired with the DoD whether ARROW would oppose any provisions in the latest UAPDA following Dr. Kirkpatrick's admission that he successfully lobbied against the UAP Records Review Board included in last year's UAPDA. In response, Susan Go, we do not comment on pending legislation.
Yep.
So basically, he said the sources told him that, but he doesn't believe them. And
right.
Yeah. So good article there. There was there was this one also. It was a leaked. Well, it was usually not leaked. It was.
I read
it was
the
released.
I read the abstract, and I recommended our listeners go and find this because to me,
it's too long.
Yeah, and it's hard to read at some points, and it's kind of I can't really make heads or tails of it. But it is about anti-gravity and dematerialization of matter. I remember was part of it as well.
Right, and it's timely because Dr. Brandenburg. This came out a couple days ago. He did research on anti-gravity craft, and it was funded by DARPA. Now, DARPA told him last week to go ahead and publish, and he's shocked that they actually told him to do that. He's been involved in these classified programs for a very long time. He's one of the whistleblowers that have come out, but he's a physicist, and he's been doing research on these anti-gravity crafts. So his research just came out and just got published. He did a presentation. We won't go through the whole thing, but he did a presentation to APEC, which is an energy conference, about this. And it's amazing that the stuff's being. So basically, he proved, and he has equations in there and everything. It's in a DARPA presentation and research document, peer reviewed, also. But basically, that electromagnetic waves can decrease the weight of objects even to zero. And he proved this in experiments on videos, and then all in that DARPA. So basically, I don't know what DARPA's saying. People are trying to figure this out. It might be like, all right, here it is. Take it. Do what you can with it, I guess, because he proves that you can just get material worth $200 or less, and you can copy his experiment. So, yeah, really cool stuff. Dr. Brandenburg, I think we've talked about him before. He also noticed that a nuke was used in Mars or on Mars thousands of years ago. He did a scientific paper on that. And also, the Department of Defense told him to release that. That was a few years ago, though.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so he's a smart guy, knows what he's talking about. We'll quickly just get the gist of it, and then we can move on.
It's 1981 when I got my PhD at Lawrence Livermore Lab. And by the way, I had the great pleasure and honor of meeting Frederick Winterberg several occasions.
Yeah, see, since 1981. So he's been doing this for a long time. Smart dude.
Subatomic particles, electrons and protons, and they're both.
And see, it's a DARPA presentation, which is nuts that they're releasing this stuff.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool.
I don't know if a lot of this stuff is happening, by the way, now. Things are like becoming more laxed in the national security state, especially with this subject. And it could be because Trump is coming in. Let's not forget that the 2017 thing was during the Trump era. And all his people in the intelligence department were on Fox talking about this subject openly.
Mm-hmm.
He openly did it. He started Space Force as well. So,
I mean, it's just dumb that there's any administration that would restrict what our scientists are allowed or not allowed to work on.
I mean, if you're part of the deep state that this is the foundation of, you want to keep this grift going for I don't know, eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think this is too mathematical and scientific for our purposes. But he does go through all of this. It is a DARPA funded research. He does prove it in videos as well, of the objects losing weight, like right here. Basically, when you turn on the circuit, the object loses weight. When you turn off the circuit, it goes back to its weight.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, really cool and very exciting. And I'm glad that they're seeding these things, even though they're 100, 150 years ahead. So that's what they care about. They have a head start.
Right.
If we catch up, they know the trajectory is going to go. But then that brought up, have you watched this 0 Point?
I haven't. I've heard of it.
Mark McCandlish and the Flux Liner.
I've never watched it, but I think you've told me about this, or I've heard about it somewhere.
All right, so yeah, it's a cool documentary about Mark McCandlish. He was part of the Disclosure Project as well, and he's an engineer, but he also is a great illustrator. And he had many people in the aerospace industry tell him stories about this flux liner, or an alien reproduction vehicle, they called it, an ARV. And You know, he died before he went to Congress. He was going to be a witness, and they said it was suicide with a shotgun. Do you believe that?
Well, no, I don't.
So rest in
people
peace.
have been known to do that, so it's not completely out of the question. But the timing always makes me question things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, just before that, he committed suicide, quote unquote. Cool documentary. I just want to play a quick clip of the ARV for our viewers.
And he said that the paint that was on the outside, it looked like they'd taken a bunch of powdered lead, mixed it into a resin, and then just brush painted it right on the side of the aircraft. It looked like it was slapped together in somebody's garage, you know.
So, according to his account, on November 12, 1988, Mark's friend inadvertently gained access to a highly classified airshow where the featured hardware of the event was real flying saucers. They were really strange looking, but appeared functional and were named to suggest anti-gravity and reverse-engineered alien technology. An official presence stated they could travel faster than light. Despite their futuristic performance capabilities, these appeared to be stripped-down, road-worn working prototypes, which had seen practical operation for years. If this were the case, they were crude but tangible proof of concept for a staggering leap in aviation technology. They used extremely advanced electromagnetic or field propulsion, as opposed to solid or jet fuel, nuclear power, or any other commonly known conventional means. It also meant our government and at least one other major defense contractor, Lockheed Martin, had been developing and deploying functional systems along these lines.
Is that
for
their
many
actual logo?
years.
Yeah. That's the Skunkworks logo.
Oh, that makes more sense.
So cool. I mean, again, that's all timely, right? Coming out with
Mhm.
with what Dr. Brandenburg had, which and with that release of Bearden's science. So this science has been within these programs for decades, and that flux liner, they say, was operational for decades. So it was traversing the solar system. Could you imagine traversing the solar system? I mean, you know,
You're really cool, man. It's one step closer to my dream of being a space trucker.
it's coming. It is coming. I mean, if we just envision it instead of the dystopian future that they want us to envision, and we envision that future, you know,
Yeah.
we can make it happen. All right, so this is Richard Dolan's Imminent. How did you want to? Do you go through it one by one? I stopped it at
really all I did for this video, and I think the next one too, was just play the intro because, you know, this is a full review of the book Imminent, just recently released by Lou Elizondo, and I was just giving the intro, you know, because we know and appreciate Richard Dolan. We've played a lot of his clips on the show over the past how long we've been doing this. Basically, he just opens it up with saying, like, Richard Dolan says this. He opens up this interview saying, you know, with all the research I've done into the UAP and UFO alien phenomena, you know, there's valuable books and there are books that aren't so valuable. And he says this one is very, very valuable.
True. Did you get it yet? Or
I found, so my dad had recommended another book that I'll be bringing on the show, not this week, but down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you know what? Well, I'm on Amazon. Let's grab Imminent. And then I saw you can download the audiobook. So I did.
Yes.
And I haven't started listening to it yet, but it's in my queue.
Nice. It is. It's a good book. Nothing like mind blowing. Well, maybe one thing. Nothing that new for people who know this subject, but it's still a very well written book. The way he takes you through everything is great as well. Awesome. I did stop it at Hal Putoff. Yes, and the reason why I stopped it here is because Dolan knows Hal Putoff really well, so it's good to have that.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean, when it's not just Elizondo saying, but also hearing Dolan what he says about Hal.
Talk about this is Hal Putoff, of course, who is really one of the most important people, other than Lou, in this book. Hal Putoff really has a lot to do with this book. He comes up a lot throughout this book. I have personally known Hal Putoff for more than 20 years, but a lot of the things that are in this book were not things that I personally got from Hal. not explicitly necessarily. Hal in the book confirmed to Lou that the Roswell incident in 1947 was real and that it did involve the recovery of a crash UFO or UAP or flying saucer. He stated that there were 4 deceased non-human bodies that were recovered from that crash. He suggested, this is very interesting, that an electromagnetic pulse or an EMP may have inadvertently interfered with the UFO or UAP technology, which may have caused it to crash. And that actually isn't necessarily impossible. EMPs can disrupt all kinds of electronics. Maybe that is a possibility. Puthoff, as a result, theorized that if the Roswell craft was downed by an EMP by accident, it could mean that they have a kind of Achilles heel.
I don't think it's by accident. That's for sure. But yeah, cool. That he says it's real. That Roswell was not just weather balloons, and beings were there. And since then, we've been at war with them. Of course, there was an emergency and why we passed the National Security Act. And since then, we have lived in that world, of that being secret.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this kind of ties into the like 0 point energy and the stuff we were talking about a couple videos ago.
Absolutely.
This is Stephen Greer. Hate him or love him, he's certainly a divisive figure. He tends to paint himself as the hero, the go-to guy in almost everything he does, but he clearly knows what he's talking about too.
Absolutely, yeah, he does. And the intro on this is enough. I think it's
I think that, and that's all I played as well. Yeah,
it perfectly summarizes it. And this is from Project Unity, his YouTube channel. Great YouTube channel, brings on a lot of good guests. He has a great X account as well. Good guy. A lot of let's not talk about that right now. Yeah.
There's an unconstitutional, unsanctioned, global superstate that runs these projects. It's not just US or UK. And it does not respond to constitutional authority, period. Secondly, the people who are in those positions in the US, UK, Five Eyes, other countries, if they know about this issue, it's because they were recruited earlier and moved up through the ranks. And they're still going to keep it secret from their colleagues at that level of government, whether it's a senator, a member of the House of Lords, a member of Parliament, a cabinet member, person in XYZ president's administration. Doesn't matter. Left, right, center, doesn't matter. None of these sort of things that people think are tactical security are going to help you. I mean, this is one of the things I'm mentoring the U.S. government on right now, the part of the government trying to get into the UAP UFO issue. It's that the group that you're concerned about, these clandestine deep black operations, they have technologies that are reverse engineered from interstellar craft that are thousands of years ahead of you. So you're not going to be able to keep anything secret from that organization. And it is a corrupt organization. So you have to look at it as what it is. It's basically the world's largest criminal syndicate. Many of the men and women, mostly men, that I work with have had lethal force threatened at them or their families. I mean, we're talking about a nasty, thuggish, I use the word thugs, for this clandestine, illegal clandestine group. And so I don't, I know the risks that I've taken, I've accepted them. These technologies have been around for over 100 years. And the reason they're not out is because there are very powerful forces that do not want it out. And if you have $100 million, which is a very small startup in Silicon Valley, and a technology like this, you will not get it out. If you had $100 billion, you're not if you don't understand who you're up against and what you've got to do to get around that blockade. Now,
oh man, yeah, he hits it right on the point, as always.
Yep.
And it derails whatever agenda they have been planning for us for a long time. If they release this, if they have it, then their agenda can go forward. Whatever. I mean, we know we have a hint of what it is. They've hinted also to what it is, but it's basically a global empire. And if with these technologies out, it will decentralize power, and they can't have that.
Right. I mean, that's something he brings up in the middle of that, and I was really appreciative of it. for instance, if you're just some scientist and you discover this technology and some way to do it, you can't just enter the field. You have to have hundreds of millions of dollars and political backing just to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, and he said even 100 billion is not enough. He's got 100
Yeah.
million is small, 100 billion not. He goes, if you don't know what you're dealing with, and they've killed these people.
Yep.
And he mentions that as well. If they don't just outright buy your technology and shelve it.
Yeah, I mean, and this happens not just in the UFO field, but I mean, hell, this even happens in the automotive industry. There was all these people that were coming up with alternative fuel engines for vehicles, right?
Right.
They get bought up by the big, the big automotive companies, and then those projects were, just either shelved or completely forgotten about. And that's the point.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, we also have the 1951 Invention Secrecy Act, so they can come in and just confiscate your patent and your invention and pay you a fair market price for your invention.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, complete, like you said, it's a crime syndicate. It's like they act like the mob because they are the mob, probably. Yeah. All right, so you also did this one. Louis Elizondo calls David. No, was it this one? Oh yeah. With Ross Coulthard. I think.
Yeah, they talk. This is the one they bring up the evangelical.
The Collins elite.
Yes, which is a really interesting point when it comes to this field.
Yeah. All right, let's play that one.
I think one of the things that leapt out at me in the interview that I did with Lou, and he's also expanded on this in detail in the book, is his account of the Collins elite, that there is in the Pentagon and in the intelligence community a group of people who are deeply, and no criticism of them for this, by the way, they're entitled to be religious. They're deeply evangelical Christian, deeply, deeply religious. And they perceive the phenomenon, whatever it is, as demonic. And Lou tells me in the interview, and he does a little bit of this in the book as well, about a meeting or a sort of a confrontation in a hallway that he had with a very senior member of the Collins elite, somebody who was very, very senior in DIA. I think you and I both know who he's talking about. And I've looked online, and this person he's a very deep evangelical Christian, somebody of avowed Christian faith. What do you think about the propriety of somebody in the Defense Department, though, letting their religious faith intrude on, one, the public's right to know about something that is, according to Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, Dave Grush, Colonel Nell, a national security, public safety threat? And what do you think about the idea that, religious beliefs are allowed to intrude into the day-to-day workings of a government agency, especially one as crucial as the Pentagon?
I think it's outrageous, Rob. Pure and simple. It's outrageous. I think it
is. It's completely outrageous. So, we have evangelicals trying to block people from within the government trying to look into UFOs. And, books like Nick Redfern's book, he also talks about the Collins elite, and he says that they even try to block funding to these projects. And because they think these beings are demonic, that's their view. Maybe they are demonic.
It's such it's such a frustrating thing. Like if you, for sure, you're deeply evangelical, it's fine. If you truly believe these things are demonic, fine. But I don't understand why you would then fight people that want to learn more about these things. I
mean, look, it's evangelicals, right? So I think the word that the guy used was they're deceivers, they're liars. So he's even thinking even if they said that they're non-human or they're from somewhere else or whatever they told them. Yeah, exactly. Don't listen to them. They're tricking us. So they're demonic. Now, when it comes to evangelicals, I'm not going to listen to them anyway. They worship a foreign nation. They think all Jews are God's chosen people, and they really believe that. Fine, you can believe that, but don't overtake politics, which they have. But like now it's applying to the UFO subject as well. It's not enough that trillions of dollars are being sent overseas to kill people. For God knows what kind of agenda they have planned.
I just don't.
Yeah,
I just can't stand when people use their beliefs. It doesn't even have to be religion based. They use their beliefs to block other people from trying to learn more about what's going on, no matter what, if it's UFOs or if it's politics, whatever we're talking about here. When you start using your beliefs to trample other people and keep them blind and deaf, so your opinion is the only one that matters, that's when I start getting upset.
It's the narrative thing again, right? Their narrative is, or it's their agenda too. Maybe it just ruins their agenda.
Yeah,
getting this stuff out. But yeah, so dangerous. Merrick says it here. They're trying to be nice. He recommends a book a theologian wrote that it doesn't hurt, and it doesn't hurt most religions. Look, we know who it hurts, and it hurts like it hurts the power structures of the elite. Whether they want to cover that in religion or not, that's this secret who it hurts the most, and that's the reality of it. But I think they cover it with religion. Because these guys in government, I mean, are they seriously calling themselves Christians? How many wars have they said that we have to go to and people that we kill?
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so Ross Coldhart did an AMA on Reddit. I'll be honest, some of his answers are really cool, and some of them are, I'll say, unsatisfactory. In fact, the top answer to his question here. So the question he was asked. For those of you who don't know, an AMA on Reddit is an Ask Me Anything. It's when someone, they're usually an influencer, celebrity or something, they come on and users can ask questions and, the person will respond. So like the very top question got the most upvotes, most popular question. Have you ever seen or heard of any reports that suggest NHI might be capable of disguising themselves as humans? What's your take on this possibility? Ross, of course, just answers yes.
Just yes, and that's it?
That's it. But there's some other questions he responds to, and he has good stuff to say.
This is a similar one, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there any merit to the claim that in 2004 there was a blue-on-blue firefight between a JSOC unit and a Lockheed Martin recovery team over UAP craft, resulting in the death of 2 JSOC members? Again, Ross just says yes, but then he goes on to say, and that's not the only incident. Again, no elaboration. This is why I said answer is not super satisfactory, but there's a couple here where he does expand a little bit. Another question here. Would you say we need to draw our attention to our oceans more nowadays? There seems to be a lot of strange occurrences recently, and something you and I have talked about at great length.
Yes.
Ross says absolutely. Chris Mellon and retired Rear Admiral Tim, is it Gallaudet?
Gallaudet, yeah, Gallaudet
are right onto this. So people are looking into it. Again, here we go. What would you like to see happen? Ross says, I think it's inevitable that solid scientific investigation, almost certainly privately funded, will reveal the existence of NHI. Government disclosure is a complete waste of time. Their heart is not in it. I think that even sympathetic congressional representatives are excessively manipulable with talk of protecting national security.
Yeah.
Yep. The only way to revealing this is independent, objective investigation. I brought this up earlier in the show. Government disclosure is a complete waste of time. I agree, but he says their heart is not in it, and I disagree there. I think they have a vested interest into not bringing it up.
Not right ever. What's this one about?
Yeah, if you want to read this one, that'd be great. This is a good substantial answer this time.
All right, so it goes, are you aware of government investigations into reports of abductions of either citizens or government military officials? If so, is there any corroboration of or overlap with what has been reported by abductees and people like John Mack, Whitley Strieber, etc.? 2, in a previous AMA, you mentioned psionic abilities as being underappreciated in the common discourse. Can you elaborate on what you meant by this, and or which elements or types of abilities are more salient? Brush pass, that's his. I don't know what that even means. All right, so I'm certainly talking to people who tell me they have been abducted, or that at the very least they have been aware that while they were in a paralyzed state in their own home, something was purportedly operating on them. I honestly don't know what to think of these accounts, and I'm keeping an open mind. Like all of us, I'm not dismissive of witness testimony. I don't default to the notion that all of these people are crazy. There has to be an explanation when you consider the similarity of these independent accounts. So that was that one question. And then for psionics, he said, yes, I'm very interested in an alleged psionic program that the U.S. government and certain private corporations have been operating for some considerable time. That's why I recently put Uri Geller on my reality check show. People missed the point of my interviewing him. I've been abused by folks of giving him credibility. Yes, he was accused of being a fraud and a charlatan. But have a look at the CIA library declassified files and look at the work the CIA did with him to show his psionic abilities were allegedly verified as authentic 50 years ago. These were rigidly scientific, controlled blind studies. Why was the CIA interested in psionic psychic abilities so many years ago, and has it really stopped at that interest? No, probably not. I don't think it has at all. I suspect the GATE program, which is gifted and talented education, was and probably still is used illegally by the U.S. military and certain private companies to find kids with psionic abilities. What I'm hearing is shocking. It makes MK Ultra and Sidney Gottlieb crimes with LSD and other drugs look like child's play. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Stranger Things is based on.
Yes,
you know, this kind of stuff is coming more and more mainstream because, like almost everything we're seeing, you know, when these crazy stories come out, there's a kernel of truth there. You know, MK Ultra was just a conspiracy theory until it was proven real.
Yeah, and it was because the church trials, right, in Congress in the 1960s, that released all this information. So again, you know, government's not totally evil. It's huge and filled with different factions. So, you know, we can change things from within the government.
So there's one more question here that I wanted to highlight. Hi, Ross. Matthew Pine said a significant figure in American public life is going to come out and make a statement that will push forward disclosure. Are you aware of this? And do you have any idea of who it could be? And Ross just says yes, but he can't say any more.
Boo.
At least a hint.
I know, Ross. He's just one of those. It's coming soon. You just wait.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care.
I'm interested. Who do you think would be this? I mean, obviously, you know, we've got like Lou Elizondo.
American public figure.
Yeah.
All right. So
who do you think that could be? It have to, like, if it was actually going to push.
It has to be a president.
It has to be.
It has to be a former president or vice president, something like that, right?
Ooh, can't wait for the next debate coming up.
I mean, Obama is, well, he didn't he say like, yes, they are real or something? Like he wasn't like completely closed about it.
I don't know. I think Obama would be a pretty big one if they were really going to push forward disclosure.
Yeah,
I think Obama came forward.
Yeah. Who else is alive? Is Carter still alive?
I think he's barely alive. I think he's barely hanging on.
Okay, because that'll be a good one. Because no, actually, they didn't tell him anything. That's why he launched all the investigations, the internal investigations, to go look for stuff. Because George H.W. Bush was CIA, and he asked him to brief him, and he said no. Anyway, but yeah, Carter's probably too old for that to come out.
Anyway, it's an interesting AMA. There's some fun stuff in here. He talks about his most credible sources, and he's talked about how he has had no personal experiences with UFOs, UAPs, and things like that. But anyway, it was a
Tom DeLonge question.
It was a fun read. Yeah, there's Tom DeLonge said there's a connection between the phenomena and Atlantis. He also mentioned that among the debris from a spacecraft, there were Greek letters. This description matches the footage of the debris that accompanies the alien autopsy video. Has anyone informed you if that video is real? And Ross replies, I think Tom DeLonge was given a lot of very authentic information by Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and by General Neil McCaslin and Michael Carey. I think what he's saying here is he's saying none of that is real. And he's saying it in a very nice way by saying Tom DeLonge was yes, given a lot of very authentic information, but he was also given a bunch of horse shit.
Right. Like that was bullshit, but here's the real stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Anyway, yeah, it was fun going through those. I got to one of the first AMAs I just randomly caught live and got to watch the responses come in.
Nice. Did you try and contribute?
No, I didn't. Those things, there's so many people in there already. The chances of being seen are null.
Yeah.
So this is a great thread. I went through a bunch of these videos in this thread that
Oh, nice.
Vicky Verma on X posted. Unexplained 2020 is the @.
Yes, he's great.
This first post here. Her name is Donna Hare. She is a former NASA employee, never a straight answer, who publicly claimed that NASA has many high-resolution photos of UFOs and alien spaceships. She wanted to testify before Congress, but it never happened. And
Yeah,
I think
she's one. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think the next post down is actually one of her. Yeah, there it is.
So this is also at the Disclosure Project.
Yeah. Scroll up and do the show more part. Yeah, I just wanted to. I think you know what she says this in the thing. So you can just play the video.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Hare, and I worked at Philco Ford Aerospace from 1967 to 1981. During that time, I was a design illustrator, draftsman. I did the launch slides and landing slides, and also projection plotting boards, lunar maps for NASA. We were a contractor, but most of the time I worked on site, in Building 8. I had the opportunity to do extra work during downtime, which was between missions, and I walked into a photo lab, which was the NASA lab across the hallway. I had a secret clearance, which is not that high, but I was able to go into restricted areas, which this was. At the time, I was talking to one of the techs in there, and he drew my attention to a photograph, a NASA photograph. It had a dot on it. And I said, what is that? Well, he drew my attention to it. And I said, is that a dot on the emulsion? And he said, and he's smiling and he has his hands crossed. And he said, round dots on the emulsion don't leave round shadows on the ground. And this was an aerial photograph of the Earth. I'm assuming the Earth because it had pine trees on it. And the shadows of the craft or whatever it was were in the same angle as the trees. And by its very nature, UFO, and I wanted to clarify that to a gentleman that was talking to me, means unidentified. So I did not know what this was. But I realized at this point that it's very secret, that it was kept secret, because I asked him, what are you going to do with this piece of information? And he said, we always airbrush these out before we sell them to the public. So they're pesky little creatures appearing on this photograph they wanted to get rid of. After that, I decided I would ask questions to other people that work there. And I found that I had to ask them away from the site and not on site. A guard told me that he was asked to burn some photographs and not to look at them.
So this is Donna Hare, right? The one that whistleblower,
yes.
Not whistleblower, that hacker in the UK, he used this information to go to, when he hacked in NASA, to go to Building 8, to those servers, and that's where he was downloading the pictures, which is more corroboration.
This is another. There was a lot in this thread that was really good. Great job, Vicky Verma. Next, we have Dr. Ken Johnston, who worked on the Apollo missions, claimed that NASA knows that astronauts discovered ancient alien cities and the remains of incredibly advanced machinery on the moon. Some of these technologies can manipulate gravity. NASA fired him.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian O'Leary, he's great.
Yeah, I mean, for our listeners, go ahead and check out this thread. I mean, there's some really good information in here.
Yeah, and former NASA astronaut and scientist Brian O'Leary passed away in 2011 shortly after making this big statement. There is much evidence that we have been contacted by aliens and that these civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time. Their appearance may be bizarre.
From any traditional Western... damn it. Go ahead.
In traditional Western materialistic point of view, these visitors use consciousness influencing technologies, the toroid, and use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems, which appear to be the common denominator of the UFO phenomenon. I didn't know he died right after this.
There is abundant evidence that we are being contacted, that civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time, that their appearance is bizarre from any kind of traditional materialistic Western point of view, that these visitors use the technologies of consciousness. They use toroids. They use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems. That seems to be a common denominator of the UFO phenomenon, and how they can work, manipulate time and space locally so that they can have their own anti-gravity propulsion and their own field of energy that's isolated, gravitational field, electrogravitational field that's different.
Too bad they take out the good ones, huh? Oh, yeah, Thrive. That's a great documentary.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's 3 of them.
He had the kind of the Gary Busey thing going on, but I really appreciated what he had to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And, former astronaut. Carl Wolf also, we've covered him before. And I think he might be Disclosure Project as well.
He claimed that he saw NASA photos of an alien base on the far side of the moon. He was killed after a trailer hit his bike.
Well, could be an accident, Could be.
It seems less and less likely every time we go through these and reading how
every single time.
Every single one of them. Hey, this guy he's going to Congress tomorrow to talk about aliens. Oh,
boom.
Blew himself up.
Yeah, with a shotgun. Who shoots? Can you shoot yourself with a shotgun? I mean,
you can.
Off shotgun. I mean,
no, you can.
God.
The easiest way to do it, be the lead singer of Nirvana and then have your girlfriend / wife kill you and blame it on the heroin.
I know, and just become richer than ever. Yeah. And didn't he leave a note? There was supposed to be a note. Anyway, I remember reading a book.
There was a note. I mean, this is we could do the death of God. But there was a note, and that's kind of been the main argument as to was he killed and someone else wrote the note, because the handwriting doesn't match in the second half, but people say it's because the heroin was kicking in so hard. But the heroin was kicking in so hard he was able to prop up a shotgun and shoot himself. So I mean, it's like,
nah.
I know, it's like, nah, I don't buy that. I'm just saying someone benefited a lot from his death.
She definitely did, and she was jealous of him, and you can see it in the behavior towards him, like early on. There's lots of this footage of that too. I mean, and apparently she used to, really demean him, and and play with the self-conscious thing that he's nothing, that he's a loser kind of thing.
Nirvana was like in the process of breaking up too. That was a whole thing.
Oh yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so continue with Wolf. He was a photo technician and one of the first images coming back from the lunar orbiter in 1966. He was brought to NSA site and shown giant alien bases on the far side.
Cool stuff, man.
I wonder if they're still there.
Yeah, I can't imagine they wouldn't be.
Right, exactly. It's just weird that China now went to the far side of the moon. I mean, granted, it's not a small moon or anything. You can land somewhere and not see anything, you know what I mean? And then there's plans of us going back to the moon. Could be just bullshit for more funds to go to these stupid projects where nothing is done. I mean, you see what's going on with Starliner? Is this going to be on here? The Starliner?
I don't think that was in the list of articles.
Yeah, I don't think I included it either. Anyway, we've talked about Bob
Oshler. I had a fun time trying to pronounce that yesterday when I recorded.
Oshler. He's got a cool voice.
Oshler. I don't know.
Yeah.
He does have a cool voice. Cool name.
And he tells the story really well as well. And he was on like a lot of programs. Okay, yeah, let's listen. He's good.
Okay, if these governments, the Canadian government, the American government, if they are in possession of spacecraft, if they have made contact with aliens, why don't they tell us?
What I was able to learn is that the issue of secrecy dates back into the early 1950s. And in 1959, actually, NASA had a study conducted by the Brookings Institution in Washington, D.C., addressing the issue of whether this alarming issue of a confrontation with an extraterrestrial culture should be released to the public, this information. It was determined that there would be grave consequences for just an overt public pronouncement by government officials. So a determination...
What does that mean? We would all panic.
Well, not necessarily just panic, but the issues that it presented, not only theology, but issues involving economics, standards of monetary concerns. If you acknowledge type of technology that renders fossil fuel-related industries obsolete, for example, you have grave consequences economically all the way around the world.
I mean, could you imagine entire economies would go bankrupt? Like these countries, entire countries will be gone. And there's no oil. If there's no oil economy, Saudi Arabia will be completely finished. UAE gone. You know what I mean? Like these.
That's why there's this vested interest in not releasing this technology to the public.
Yeah, exactly. Not just economies, and it is a global economy.
Yeah, no, you're right. Countries.
Yeah,
whole parts of the world. Whole parts of the world would just turn into I don't even know what.
Into like what Libya is now, and I mean, well, Libya has oil, but I mean, like what what happened to Libya after the war, or when they took out. There's slavery. They're selling slaves out in the open again.
Oh boy.
I know. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that way. It could be slow. Maybe that's why they're releasing this stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's got to be a way around it. They're so smart.
So another someone talked about UAPs in the ocean. It's interesting that this is. I mean, he said this. It looks like he was talking about this in 2018, but it's good to see that all this stuff is coming in full circle. Breaking into the mainstream.
Kevin Newth, he's also a NASA scientist. Cool guy. He's got a funny voice though. Have you heard him speak?
No.
Do the calculations. This is actually.
Oh yeah.
I've criticized other physicists,
but he's a brilliant scientist. He's one of the ones.
You can tell he's a brilliant scientist because of his voice.
Yeah, exactly. He's a total that's all he cares about, obviously. But he's one of the guys that did that really cool study of looking at the old radar data of the 1940s and 1950s and calculating how fast these craft were going when they were going from one radar station to the next. In the thousands of miles per hour. But yeah, great scientist. Every year he comes out with something and he puts it into peer-reviewed research. Very cool.
It's the way to do it.
I know. I'm just shocked how you still see people saying there is no evidence.
Yeah, well,
I think those people can't handle it.
I think most people they live in their bubble and they don't want to hear about anything outside of their bubble, and that's it.
Yeah, because it really ruins their paradigm. They can't handle it. Like really, some people cannot handle this being true.
I mean, it's why these news corporations are so popular. Is because there's a lot of people that just want to only listen to Fox News, only listen to CNN, only listen to MSNBC.
Oh, could you imagine?
Because you don't want to hear anything that you don't agree with.
Because it's easy and convenient. I mean, if you really want the truth, you have to go to different sources to get it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, okay.
I think we can move on from this thread. I highly recommend, like I said, our listeners come check it out. There's a lot of stuff in this thread, and it's all great. It's all really good stuff.
It is good stuff, and straight from NASA. You won't see that anymore. Our government's been completely taken over. Seriously, where people can't. Anyone who comes out to say something is just kicked out really quick.
Mm-hmm.
All this is from also Jay from Project Unity. I guess this is an audio and a video from people that are doing a CE5 kind of event, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were meditating, and they were asking him to do stuff like in their minds. They would ask him to do something for these, and these lights would reciprocate those thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, CE5s are great. I think it'd be fun to go and try and do this again if we could get like a group. Maybe when the show's a bit bigger and we've got some audience members that want to come do it with us, we could go find a big open field somewhere and call some UFOs down to come see us.
Yeah, you never know. I think the larger the crowd, the better. I think 8 is a good number, they said. So let's take a listen to this event, and they recorded on video these orbs doing really cool maneuvers.
That's 2.5 million light years away. So at the speed of light, it would take 2.5 million years for them to get here.
At first, I came from Vestalen, that's Norway, where you have a lot of activity there. I wanted to go to bed, and something said, no, you have to go outside. Putting my camera up, and then I said, okay, if you're there, can you just fly by and stop? So the craft came in very fast speed, and stop, and then, okay, and flew away.
This is amazing. It'll stop,
turn left, turn right, move around at all kinds of angles. And she's had multiple events like this happen.
What will be evident in that footage is what she has actually asked for them to do. So I know there's one case where she has told me herself that they have produced a V shape, and she requested that in consciousness.
So I looked up, and suddenly something appeared in front of me. And then I said, "Are you there?" And then they come out. They divided themselves in 6 balls, and then 3 balls.
Whoa.
There were lots of other lights.
We see this quite often, but it's very unusual to get it on video. And this is why it's a fantastic example of the kind of maneuverability that these spacecraft can make.
I really do love it when people get things like that and they can show people that are new to the subject, because it's really inspiring.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Very cool stuff. I know orbs and lights in the sky, they're not everyone's favorite cup of tea, but they're really important, especially this footage here. This is great stuff because you can see them stopping, going, when those 6 balls of light spread out into a perfect V formation. I mean, it's really, really cool stuff, but and it just brings up the question, why?
I think they want to see what they want to show us what we're capable of as humans, and our potential. If they're seeing there, because I think they're human-like. It's not like they're gods or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing us and that they can communicate with us from afar. Because this lady, I mean, supposedly these people in the craft are up in wherever they are, but they're far away, but they can instantaneously hear her thoughts and then react to that, which is nuts.
It's really cool stuff. I mean, this is why, and we. So when people have, what am I trying to say here? You're bringing in your own experiences into it. So if you get, if you're coming in really scared and frightened and standoffish, you're not going to have the same experience as people,
or might not have one.
Might not have one, right? It's a terrifying thought because if you're trying to do this, you do have to keep an open mind.
You do
a clear mind, I should say.
And yeah, I mean, it's weird how that really has to do with our daily lives as well. When people set goals and you can't have any doubt, you have to stay positive about it, stay set on the goal. It's kind of something like that too, where we manifest. So for some reason, the phenomenon is that way as well. This also made the rounds last week. Was it last week when it came out?
It was posted 7 days ago. So yeah, last weekend, I guess. This is an airline pilot was flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and he and the captain spotted these orb of lights that kept moving around each other. And at one point, we saw them move at incredible speeds and stop and hover instantaneously. It was at this moment I took out my phone to record them. Throughout the night, we kept seeing them. One would show up, and then another out of nowhere. I have another video showing the 2 of them, and I turned the camera group to the south. Anyway, this is pretty cool footage. Just 30-second clip here. Hey, also, if you're filming UFOs, turn your fucking camera sideways.
Look at that. Cool.
Very cool.
That's Starlink, man.
It's just a drone at 35,000 feet.
Yeah, look at it. See, drones do that.
Yeah, I mean, but the fact that it sounds like these things were following him.
Yeah, they were playing with him, I guess.
Pretty cool.
We know what airline, where he is?
Don't know if he said or she said.
We see satellites all the time, and the way these moved were not satellites. Thank you. Airline, not showing anything really.
I don't think they posted, unless that's it right there.
Did it switch over? No, switch it over. UAP or the Pacific? Oh, here we go. Flying from HNL to the 48. What's HNL? Oh,
still they're Southern California because they're headed towards or going from LAX.
Whoa! So is this someone else? I think it's another one.
No, I think it's the same guy because he said he had another video, and I think this is the other video.
Oh, whoa! Look at this one.
Yeah.
So it's going up now, and he's trying to keep it in focus. No audio really, and they're pulsating.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah, it is. More of these, more. Well, hopefully it's raising the consciousness at least of our civilization.
Hopefully.
You know, stop what's going on down here. This endless war, man, and just killing and just enslavement of humanity is just,
But
it doesn't have to be that way.
But it has to come from humans. Humans have to stop.
Stop
exactly.
this
Stuff. Aliens can't help us out. I think that's the point.
Yeah, but I think that's what these are. I think good though. It's showing an opportunity or a potential, something other than what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has come within. So maybe that's what these things are as well. The first, what is it? The Prime Directive in Star Trek.
No, isn't the Prime Directive they can't interfere? Is
Right.
That the whole,
Exactly.
Okay. I don't know my Star Trek very well.
Yeah, they can't directly interfere. So maybe that's what they're just doing, is just subtly influencing us.
So this was really cool footage too. I think you sent this one, right?
Yeah. In Missouri. I don't know what date. But yeah, it's cleared foot.
Lights.
I mean, it looks like it's rotating.
It's a cube.
It does look like a cube.
Yeah, it does. Once he said that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's think tank for sure. He zoomed in on it. We'll check below. Wow.
Yeah, really weird. Just floating, spinning.
Yeah. Missouri, huh?
I guess so.
And it's not like it's falling. So it's staying in place, but it's rotating.
Yeah.
Because if it was space debris, you'd see it continue to fall.
Right.
Not just sit there.
I'm on Glenstone in Springfield, Missouri.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to find an excuse. Maybe this is a balloon of some sort.
Lights around it.
Just because it's not making any sudden movements like a craft would. It's just kind of floating.
Unfortunately, it's hard to tell, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Still really cool footage though. I like it.
Let's see if there's anyone who zoomed. Higher quality. The source is me. Haha. Posted 2 years ago. What's this? Is he zooming in? Okay,
No,
this guy's
it's
zooming in.
stabilized.
Oh, or a little bit. Kind of zoomed in. Yeah.
Anyway, more cool footage. Keep your eyes on the sky, people. That's all I can say.
Coolness. What do we got next? Oh my! Of course, this video cannot be played. Of course. Oh, there we go.
Ah, nice.
All right. Oh, Josh Holland.
All right, so we're moving into politics here a little bit, just a little bit. We're going to dip our toe in like we do.
Yeah, right. I mean, not go too deep. Just to nudge people a little bit on what's going on.
Help wake up your consciousness, bro.
Yes. I mean, we're centrists, we're definitely not team red or team blue. Actually, we're neither. Yeah.
Example of this administration coordinated, apparently, according to a federal court, by your agency.
Oh, wait, should we say the title? What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 18 months. You've said that many times on the show.
Yep.
I think you say 6 months, though.
Yeah.
Which it is becoming quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the context of this.
Pressuring, coercing social media companies to engage in censorship. Is that constitutional?
That is unequivocally false.
Is what the emails show.
It is unequivocally false, Senator.
You are not pressuring the big tech companies to take down accounts. You are not meeting with them to ask them to censor on your behalf.
That is correct. We are not.
Here's my point, Mr. Secretary. It has been established for years in this country, as you very well know, because you're a lawyer, that the federal government may not use private third parties to engage in activities that are unconstitutional. That's exactly what you and this administration are doing. You are leveraging private companies to carry out censorship on your behalf. It's dystopian, but worse than that, it's unconstitutional.
It's also false.
Turn now to a story breaking overnight. Facebook's
Mayorkas is a piece of garbage. I mean, I don't think there's anyone worse. I mean, the entire administration is bad, but Mayorkas is pretty bad. Anyway.
Mark Zuckerberg claims he was pressured by the White House to censor content related to COVID-19 during the pandemic. Aaron Katersky joins us now with details. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning to you, Whit. For years, critics have taken aim at Facebook for silencing views that challenge the general consensus in the medical community, especially about the origin of COVID-19. Now, Facebook's founder surprisingly says they're right. This morning, Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg admitting he bowed to pressure from the Biden administration to censor content. The Facebook founder issuing a letter to the House Judiciary Committee that said senior administration officials pushed the social media platform to censor posts about COVID-19 and expressed a lot of frustration when the company resisted. Zuckerberg saying, "I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it." Adding, "I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again." House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan celebrating the letter, calling it a big win for free speech.
So there's two things here, right? Obviously, government openly lies to our faces about what they do.
Yeah.
The second big thing is, why is Zuckerberg coming out now and saying this?
Trump. They know Trump's coming in.
But what does it have to? I mean, that doesn't really make any sense.
Because they'll put him in jail, for what he did, because it was completely unconstitutional, and that's why Jordan is happy, because he was the head, or he is the head of weaponization of government, the weaponization, and that was part of the program. And him coming out, and he's basically apologizing, and he won't do it again. Also mentions the $400 million that he donated to help with the election. And he said, "I didn't know it would end up the way it ended up." So he's kind of also saying it was stolen, the election. It's a letter of his.
I don't know. I think there's something more at play here.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just, if obviously if Zuckerberg really cared and Facebook really cared, they would have said, "Hey, the government's pressuring us to make these changes," as they were doing it, not 4 years later or 2 years or whatever the hell, And I don't think anyone's banking on Trump to win, especially people on social media. It's no good for them if Trump wins.
Yeah, but big tech is pushing it though now. You have Musk pushing it. You have Thiel, who basically runs JD Vance. Now Zuckerberg coming out and saying this. So there is something changing. I'm not saying that they're not the deep state or anything like that. They just see something coming. And it's going with other things, with all these other leaks coming out. It's just strange. It feels like 2016 again, or 2017 again, to me at least. How things are just letting up.
We will see, I suppose.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not a oracle. So, Mr. This is Chupacabra on X, and he held a space. Now, Green Street is in this, and I can't stand Green Street. He has me blocked on X. But he sounded pretty civil on here on this space, and it's
I don't even
about
know what
Louis
a space
Elizondo.
is. What is a space?
It's basically a vocal group. It's a group. It's like a conference call, but on X. You know what I mean? So someone hosts the space, and then you can jump in, and it's all voice, and then you can raise your hand, and then the host can let you come on, and then you can say what you want, and then ask a question, and then so it's like a radio show actually, or it's like a podcast.
Or it's like a group forum.
Yeah, exactly. And there's usually the host, and the host brings in these guests to be interviewed. But anyone can go on there, and you can raise your hand. But if there's like thousands of people on there, good luck.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So here's Green Street talking about Elizondo and ATIP, basically the ATIP program. He gives an opinion or a different side to Elizondo. So that's why I thought it was important to share. And again, he sounds, cool, not like a crazy person.
But there is a rift, I think, behind the scenes, because I'll just say this is my educated. And what I mean by educated, meaning I have done the interviews, I've looked at the documentation, I've read the record statements, put it together. Here's my educated.
And this is a rift between the Stratton and Lou camp.
Between those camps, and it starts with, go read the chapter in Lou's book where Jay and Lou devised this war plan. And to be honest, this wasn't the first time I heard that. I knew about this, quote, war plan before Lou put it in his book. They got together. This is before he resigns, obviously, and says, look, Lou, you go out there and be the public face of this thing. Go out there and make noise, stir shit up and cause some noise and get the press to write about it. I will then, meaning I, Stratton, will take that press coverage. I will take the New York Times and I will go to Congress and say, look, right here, cover of New York Times, bam, we need to do something. You go be the public face. I'll get policy done behind the scenes. What happened, and this is my educated guess, is that Lou lost the plot. Lou eventually, the limelight got to him and started just doing his own thing. And the unsung hero of this was Jay Stratton, who remained in the shadows, in anonymity, doing the hard work, doing the, pounding the pavement, making the phone calls, trying to get policy done behind the scenes. And at some point they were like, it appears to be, Stratton was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we had a plan here. Like, why are you're going off and doing your own thing now? And that what we were supposed to be working towards a common goal, essentially. And they're basically like, okay, that didn't work out. And so, yeah, there is a rift kind of going on. Going on there.
What was it that Lou was doing that?
I guess that makes sense that there is a rift. So now you have Christopher Mellon, right, who's basically the head of all of them, because they all, I mean, even Grush has to like go through him for some reason. So I guess Stratton is on one side, and then you have Mellon, Lou, and then where's Grush? I don't know where Grush is. So what rift? So who's the rift? So the rift is just between these two, is what he's saying, of Stratton and Elizondo. All right. Well, Stratton's coming out with his own book soon, apparently.
Book Wars.
I know, right? And what do? They get rich. It reminds me of like the East Coast and West Coast rap wars that was all manufactured to make tons of money. So all right. What else does Green Street say?
That was designated as going rogue or going off script. Like,
now, do you believe that Lou would do this? Like that the limelight got to him? Like, what do you think of his theory? I mean, I
don't really think it was a limelight thing, but I could see Elizondo, like, the more he's uncovering, the more he realizes how crazy all this stuff is, and it's like,
right?
Oh crap! I have to get this information out. This is too insane to just keep and pretend like it's not happening.
Right, and yeah, maybe he went rogue in that sense. He's like, I'm just gonna go out there and be on Fox, because he was the one that was out there in the beginning for the longest time. Yeah, so not a limelight thing, but something that he's like, I have information too that I want to get out there.
Yeah,
instead of go on the script.
What was the thing?
Trying to be a TV star, probably.
I don't know. I can only speak to what I've seen and heard, and kind of with my own eyes and ears, and it just seems like, so basically what the contention is Lou's main claims are actually what Stratton did. So Stratton was the guy that kind of had the reins with Lakatsky after Lakatsky with ATIP and pushing this ATIP idea in the Pentagon. And Lou was utilized because Lou was really good at connections, making connections across the IC, making connections to different offices, connections that potentially Stratton didn't have. And Lou was kind of utilized for that. And Lou was also utilized. He was really good at money, at finding funding and moving money around and, finding that support. Lou was really, this is according to multiple sources, but Lou was really good at that. And so while Stratton was at the head of this thing or spearheading this thing, which we can call ATIP, Lou was tapped occasionally, not day to day. This is not some everyday thing. I mean, Lou wasn't showing up every day to ATIP office. It wasn't like ATIP office. There was no ATIP office. Lou didn't show up every day. Lou had his own job, Stratton had his own thing, and Stratton was kind of directing things and trying to pick up the pieces that were OSEP, things that weren't official at this point. And he would tap Lou to like help out and make phone calls and try to find funding and get his input on things. And but Lou saying that he was like the senior leader or the director of or was in charge of or ran this, I think initially, perhaps Stratton was like, oh, well, the ends justify the means, and it's okay for him to appropriate my story because it's helping push the movement forward. And that's the goal here. We're united, and that's the goal. And I think eventually that kind of like got out of control, and he was like, okay, well, that's actually my story. It's great, but like we need to dial it back, I think, a little bit. And it's obvious. I mean, if you read all the on-record statements from 2017 till today, it starts with Lou saying, I was the director of an official Pentagon program called ATIP for nearly a decade. And then if you look at his book now, he's like, I helped a group of guys out, doing some research for a thing, that we called amongst like the five of us ATIP. It's like it really has been watered down bigly.
Yeah, that is true in his book. He does say ATIP is part of OSAP, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you listen to his Rogan interview?
No.
No, it was entertaining. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It was not bad. I listened to it on my trip driving. It made the drive very easy. Yeah,
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally like that drive. I've made it a number of times. I think the landscape is very beautiful to look at.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Especially when you have a topic like this on playing. It's perfect, right? Because that's where you're going.
It's totally fitting.
Yeah.
I always want to stop and get the alien jerky.
Yes. Yeah, I love that place. Now they're saying make aliens great again, have MAGA, the new sign.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yeah. You ever see that Ron Paul sign is still there? The Ron Paul Revolution?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that too.
I can't believe it's still up there. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait till Stratton's book to come out, or just to continue the drama. So yes, do we completely trust what Elizondo is up to? No, the guy is still a government. The guy still has a clearance. He wouldn't have gotten to Dopser, his book to go through Dopser, if he didn't have a clearance.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So the guy is still works for the government, or has whatever he has. Anyway, we'll see Stratton's book when it comes out. And is Lou a net positive? Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. More than just a net positive, I think is an overall really good thing to happen in this field.
Yeah.
He has been, for better or for worse, at the forefront of pushing it out into the open.
Yeah, and he keeps saying he's doing it because it's the right thing to do, and that he's a patriot, and that the American people deserve to know. And we should encourage that type of thinking.
Absolutely.
And, unlike Kirkpatrick, who goes, hey, well, you pay us, and you have to trust what we're going to do with that money. And if you don't, then that's your country be invaded. That's what Kirkpatrick's thinking is.
Mm-hmm.
just trust us, blindly trust us with the money that you pay us, or be invaded. All right. So, this was hilarious. And we can just start it. And we can talk about what it is, and then start towards the end. I think that's the funny part.
Yeah.
Not what the liberals are saying. But basically, white liberals are asked about voter ID laws, right? Okay, fine. You want to play it?
Yeah, I think I think you should play it from the beginning. I think it's worth playing from the very beginning. You get a little insight into what a potential left voter is thinking about with these things.
Right, and the context is important. And these people are serious. They are serious. And this is not a joke. This interview is not a joke. He interviews both sides, white liberals and black voters.
Do you have an opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you say would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely. Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMV.
Man, I can't believe these people are serious. I have to stop. Like, are they really serious? Like that guy who just took off his glasses too when he said that. Like, I had to just crack up. I was on mute. But
Yeah, I mean they take themselves very, very seriously when it comes to topics like this because they know they're the quote unquote enlightened voter. They know what's best for everyone.
Wow, I feel so bad for them.
These or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for Black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for Black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works. A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data. For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of Black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African Americans.
Yeah,
now I'm here in East Harlem to ask Black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any Black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes. Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID. So we know what we need to carry around.
Yeah, everybody that I know have ID. That's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any Black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy cameras?
I know, right? That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those legit IDs. I heard a lot also that Black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's that. It's on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Did you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that Black people, especially poor Black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to the people who have this perception of Black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot. Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, but you're judging them because they're Black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Are you
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
Wow, that was great. I mean,
it's good stuff. I personally can't stand the interview on the street style videos. I think they're incredibly cringy, and it allows the person with the camera to decide what makes it into it into the final video.
Right.
So there's a lot of editing and context that's likely to be missed. However, it is always really infuriating when someone tries to be like a high level, smart, opinionated voter, and they just kind of go full circle and become racist about it.
I know, but yeah. So don't they mostly vote Democrats? Or don't they know that's what the Democrats think about them?
Well, but I think again, I can't speak for any group of people, but I think if you're only partially invested in politics, you go with the party that is traditionally the one that you, your friends, and your family have always voted for. You don't look at the individuals on the other side and go, well, this person's an idiot, and so is this person, and so is that person. You kind of just take it all as a whole rather than seeing these small individual chunks.
Right. Yeah, and let's be honest. The reason why the Democrats are against voter ID laws, it's not because of that at all. It's because of the millions and millions of immigrants, the illegal immigrants that have come into the country, and now they're giving them in California, passed the Senate, $150,000 for not for Americans, for illegal immigrants to buy houses in California, $150,000 down payment.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, $150,000 won't get you very far in buying a house.
It's a down payment, though. You can pay the payments. You make the payments.
If you can make the payments.
Well,
sure.
Yeah. Well, no. All they have to show is 2 months of paying rent.
Ay, caramba.
Successfully. So yeah.
Well, we can always take a drive down to Mexico, shut our IDs, and come back through the border.
Yeah. Or bring one in and say, listen, man, I'm gonna use you. I'm gonna get a house.
Go ahead, rent a house.
Right, I'll go marry a Mexican chick and then bring her. Oh wait, then she'll become American. No, she won't unless you apply. Oh wait, she has to be illegal and undocumented. All right, this is gonna be hard now. You have to go to the border, scope one out. All right. Anyway, it sucks.
So what's this now?
So this is again
this is what you were just talking
about. Well, no, this is the
Democratic
Party doing something else though. Yeah, they contacted this guy, the Kamala Harris what do you call it? Campaign. Contacted this guy. Yeah, let's listen to him.
All right, guys, time for some drag queen story hour. So about a week ago, I received this email from a group called Palette Media or Palette Management. And basically what they were asking for is $1,500 for anti-Trump content on TikTok. So they basically sent me this kind of like creator brief with all the asks that they have and everything, and like do's and don'ts, like don't show any form of support for Donald Trump and his allies, gloat about Harris and her allies, attack Trump supporters for their intellectual or personal values. So they're basically creating division and paying for division online, which is crazy. So me being me, I was like, I kind of got to investigate this stuff. So I started like emailing back and forth with the lady. So I basically said, thank you for sending over. I will review. Is this for the Kamala campaign or for like a PAX campaign? And basically I was able to investigate and find out that this is actually a campaign with Future Forward, which is kind of like one of the biggest super PACs, and they have like millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars for. All right, guys, time for some drag queen story.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, she raised over $500 million in a month.
Well, if just goes to show anything, money always wins in politics. It's always it's always wherever the money's coming from. That's who gets to decide everything.
That's really sad. And so whoever has more access to the printing machine at the Fed gets to win. Now, we do have many at least we have two factions who have access to the printing machine. It feels like whoever is within the government that wants to come in,
Yep.
God help.
But I mean, unfortunately, if this kind of stuff didn't work, they wouldn't be spending money on it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, just like COVID, they spent $1 billion in quote unquote messaging for COVID.
Right.
So this is really scary. This stuff talking about illegal immigrants.
Yeah, this was pretty wild. So there was a story that came out earlier this week, and it was accompanied with a video, basically. These illegal immigrants who had been bussed into Denver had made their way to Aurora and had taken over at least 2 apartment buildings. And the mayor is saying, hey, this is really bad. We need some help here. But the Colorado governor, of course, dismissed anger over the Venezuelan gang taking over apartment buildings. I don't even want to say the gang's name. I don't think they deserve any attention, but it's Jared Polis, Colorado governor.
Polis, huh? Where the fuck's he from? Where is this?
I bet I can guess in
Jared. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So no wonder why he dismissed anger.
I can probably guess where his the funding for his campaign comes from. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, 100%, because they like open borders. So wait, so these gangs are taking over apartment complexes.
Yes.
And he thinks
he called it imagination.
Uh-huh. All right. So here's footage, right? This is complete footage. Wait, what are they doing? Do we know? Like, what are they doing? Like, they're trying to get rent from them, or they're robbing these people? Do we know?
I think the presumption is they're kicking them out.
Holy shit. So just for our listeners, there's a gang of men, armed men, with
Big
different
guns,
types
too.
of weapons. Yeah, big guns, going door to door, knocking on people's doors, and going to their apartments. They're
getting followed around by a guy on the phone who I'm assuming is like a spotter of some sort.
Right, because he kept looking out the window, right?
Yeah. So the governor, even though the governor did, call it imagination, the statement from that office says that the governor has already let the mayor know that the state is ready to support the local police department with assistance from state troopers and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation if needed. That comes from a spokesperson from the Democratic governor, the same one who called all of this stuff imagination.
You can't make this up. And Colorado has one of the worst gun laws in the country. Of course, would that be happening in the country in a state that had people armed? Hell no.
But here's the thing now, and especially with the way things are going in this country, if you are defending your own home, I don't know what castle doctrine is like in Colorado, or stand your ground, or whatever the equivalent is. They probably don't have an equivalent. Then it becomes a whole legal thing because you defended your home.
Oh my God. So insane.
It is insane.
Violent crime dropped in Aurora between 2022 and 2023, said Wyman. Despite the governor's claims, however, the evidence is clear. Yeah. Crazy. Stuff, yeah. I mean, if that comes to us, comes to our doors, I mean, it's not going to be allowed. That's for sure. Especially not in my house.
Not mine either.
So you were mentioning that you were trying to guess who funds that governor's campaign.
Yeah, I have a pretty solid guess here.
So it's not China or Russia meddling in our elections.
No. It's the biggest ally that the U.S. has.
Woohoo! Look who it is. AIPAC
They have officially surpassed the $100 million spending mark on the 2024 U.S. elections.
Chump change, people. That's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, have you tried to donate like $10,000, like ever? I mean, or anyone who's out there listening, if you've ever donated $10,000 to a candidate, just see how much attention they'll give you. His office will be calling you. You'll be getting emails. What can we do? What do you need? I mean, so imagine this much money.
I wouldn't give any U.S. political or any political candidate anywhere in the world a single dime. I mean, they already take how much money in taxes every freaking year.
I know.
They think they deserve more on top of that.
And this is just AIPAC, right? They have this other organizations, other NGOs that do the same thing. And now people are going to say, well, there's other countries that do that. And yeah, you're right. But they're all registered agents, which means that when a congressman or a senator takes money, they have to disclose that they got that money. And the organization has to disclose where it comes from. AIPAC doesn't have to do that, because they're considered an American organization. Even though it's explicitly in their name, American Israel Political Action Committee. And all they talk about is Israel.
I'm taking kind of umbrage with their logo here.
Just the marriage with the flag, with the American flag. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have the flag here in this image.
Got to hide in plain sight sometimes, I suppose.
Of course. Yeah, exactly. They have Blinken here.
Of course.
Let's not go down. It's X. I guess, leading into that decentralized party. Did you cover this one?
I read this one. I don't know enough about Moshiach to really.
Moshiach. So that's their Messiah. They call it Moshiach.
No, I understand, but like I had to look it up, and I was like, well, I don't understand what half of this is. So I'm actually glad that you made it on to a re-recording of this because you can explain this much. I mean, I can from the context here, but that's all I've got.
Yeah. So I mean, this is basically eschatology, right? And it's Jewish eschatology, and then which intermingles with Christian and Islamic eschatology. Now, so they have a Moshiach, or their Messiah, which was supposed to be Jesus, but they rejected Jesus, right? So then Jesus became the Messiah for Christianity and the Muslims as well, who think he's going to come back to defeat the Antichrist. Now, who's the Antichrist? Is the Jewish Messiah, this here, the King Moshiach. So it's all intertwined. So here, decentralized party, and amazing. He goes really deep into all these, into his posts. He's very knowledgeable in global events and stuff. So he says, Trump isn't the Moshiach. The King Moshiach will reign forever. Trump is old. He will be dead in a few years. So people keep saying, well, you know, Israel say that Trump is king of the Jews. They made like currency out of him. Remember they made currency with Trump's face there in the back, like Jerusalem, or I think it was the third temple. They made, you know, they've named cities after him in Israel. You know, they love the guy, right? He even says like, I'm the king of the Jews and stuff like that. So that's why he says this, that, you know, even if Trump might seem like he's going to be their Moshiach, their Messiah, that he's not really, because he's old. So at best, he will be crowned king of Israel for a short time. Yes. Moshiach is an AI and will have human machine integration or human AI integration added. Everything happening in the world is geared towards a global digital surveillance state, with the AI Moshiach managing every man, animal, plant systems to sustain us. The United Nations openly develops the AIWS, which is the AI World Society. It will be self-perpetuating in its own perfection and evolve on its own. Elon Musk develops the infrastructure for the AIWS via Starlink. Humans are not part of the plan. The Jews want, well, and the globalists and the elite want humanity bred out of existence within 100 years. The Kabbalists' singularity requires a new dawn, not just a new iteration of our world. The all-seeing eye Moshiach is a surveillance AI who can see and monitor all. Your Freemasonic doom is on your dollar bills and carved into the walls of cultures as the eye of providence. And they will bring this order out of chaos with Chevalier Moshiach. Our whole existence is at stake. People must learn this very soon. And he's right, because everything is going that way. Is it a coincidence that AI just showed up now, where everything can be connected, where everything can be monitored and recorded? And then it comes out with Neuralink. Neuralink is out at the same time. Starlink is out at the same time. Everything has become such a computerized thing. And then Israel now at this time is going with Greater Israel. To see with the West Bank, they're taking over the West Bank now. There's no Hamas there. They're running it down and taking it over, you know? So you just look at all this, and then these systems are set up in place. I mean, you can't help but just, and it's aligning with eschatology as well. Script or not, it's just aligning with it. It's all timely. So
it's really freaky stuff, man. Yeah.
I
don't have much to contribute to this. Other than just to say that it is really scary seeing the I like that picture. Seeing how AI is becoming the forefront everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, so could you imagine a person with a sort of Neuralink, right, with a more advanced AI, because we're talking about years from now, like 2030, 2040 even, and then with that person's cognitive abilities are going to be amazing. And Neuralink is working now with thought alone, right? They're playing video games with thought alone. So just imagine being hooked up to like these satellite systems and Starlink systems and weather systems, and just by thought you can do shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you wake up, you turn your lights on, or you get the AC running or the heat running, whatever, and it's all just from your bed in your brain. I mean, we're halfway there. We can do it on our phones right now, but just remove that one step.
Right. I mean, it feels like that's what the step is.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, I think all of cyberpunk as a genre is basically based around this.
Cool. Is there a new cyberpunk game? I heard it was amazing.
Yeah, there's one that came out a few years ago. Oh, it's fantastic. But I just watched Johnny Mnemonic this weekend. Have you seen that?
Oh wait, you cut out. What'd you watch?
Johnny
You
Mnemonic.
He said,
Have
I
you seen
just
that movie?
watched something. I have not. I don't think so.
It's a very corny movie, but it's very like a good prediction of the future. Kind of. They screwed up on the size of data files. They're talking about like, oh, he's only got 120 gigs of storage, and it's like, well, okay, well.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, but not really. I don't remember really well. I saw it a while ago.
It's worth watching. I really enjoyed it. But I mean,
I'll rewatch it.
It's what this is. It's just, information is at the center of everything, and controlling it is how people get in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if they can manufacture this is my point of view now. If they can manufacture scripture, and then they'll have billions of people believe in them and believe in it. Some say that it doesn't. It's the same thing, whether it's scripture or real. That's the same thing. I kind of understand that comment, but I'm sticking with these people are trying to manifest prophecy.
Yeah, and they're
prophecy actually happening.
They already are manifesting so much stuff just by brainwashing us, just showing us the same stuff over and over and over again to create opinions.
Right.
This is a great commercial kind of showing, the effect of constant brainwashing can have on an individual.
Yeah, this is from the RFK team, RFK Jr. team. So it's great that they're on the other side now.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America, simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, Independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, Independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of Independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With Independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if Independence is right for you, and enjoy your freedoms once again.
Perfect. So yeah, that's the RFK Jr. campaign, Nicole Shanahan.
Pretty clever stuff, and this is a great tool to anger a bunch of people on the left because they're going to get upset by this.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, if you're on the other side and you watch this, how could it upset you? It's just truths, right? Like facts, because they were these. Nicole Shanahan was a Democrat and RFK Jr. Democrat, and they've went the other way, and now they're fighting. And we should all be thankful we have people like this trying to raise awareness about the other side and how ridiculous it is and dangerous.
It's crazy because the Democrats cultivated this image of fighting the power and being the anti-establishment party, and everything they've done in my lifetime anyway has never been that. They've never been the underdogs.
No,
they've always
been
Clinton. They've always it's just a weird turn of events,
Yeah, and when Obama came in, it basically made it a uniparty because he had a bunch of neocons there. He kept the wars going, and he was all about hope. And I think the media got and the system got addicted to him because he was just a genius at just as being an orator and presenting himself. When he was running up the stairs, running down the stairs. Just they love that era of America. Those 8 years that Obama had, the media and the Democrats, it was like their heaven. It's never coming back because people feel the effects of this, and that's what happened. I think Trump was an FU to the system for forgetting about them, lying to them, and it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
But now people within the system are like going to the Trump side, right?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the debates if we ever get there. When is it
supposed to be?
God, the 10th, I believe, because it's really close to September 11th, and I believe it is the 10th. I think it's in a week now.
Oh wow, that should be something.
Yeah, but yeah, there was also, I mean, Tulsi is a Republican, so
no, she was a Democrat.
I thought she was.
She left the Democrat Party.
When?
Tulsi leaves during COVID or after? Yeah, here it is. Or
for some reason, I thought
2020. Tulsi. She left the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Party. Isn't that nuts?
Very nuts. Yeah. The whole, of course, I remember, was it 2016 when I think Hillary called her a Russian agent? I mean, stuff
that
like
was
that.
Part of it.
Just puts you off. Why would you want to be with these people who are constantly going to demean all of your points? Just all the, oh, he's Russian,
Russia.
It's such a lazy argument to be made.
Yeah, and that's all the national security state. Yeah, it's so lazy, so boring. But here is another Democrat who's left the Democratic Party and now has joined Team Trump. Not promoting the guy Trump at all, right? But his policies just work better, and they actually care about the Constitution and free speech and the Second Amendment and no forever wars. Yes, he talks about Iran all the time. I don't believe he'll do it. He didn't do it last time. They don't like him because he stands up to them. Because he'll push for peace before ever sending anyone. I believe. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So here's Tulsi. Again, a Democrat that now is endorsing Trump.
I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Very cool.
Well, I can only hope that if he does end up back in the White House, that he does in fact serve the people. But it definitely seems like he cares about Americans more than the current Democratic Party does.
I believe so too. And then with RFK Jr. in there and cleaning up, making us healthy again, I mean, it'll be a completely different country. And hopefully disclosure, maybe not like disclosure what we want. I just want maybe like energy disclosure, free energy, because that would revive the economy. Could you imagine how many jobs could be created with a new energy sector?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and what can come out of that, and subsidiary things, and service wide. I mean, it's just, yeah. Hopefully, one can dream. I will envision it in my when I meditate.
There you go. And enough of us do that, it shall become real.
Right. I mean, because I keep seeing all the dystopian stuff. I keep thinking all the dystopian stuff. Maybe I should stop that. Maybe I should try to think another way, and maybe something else will happen. One can hope, at least. So that's all we had queued up. I mean, I think that was good. Around 2 hours.
Yeah,
we'll definitely do a deep dive next week. We do the Japanese airline one, and then we did have some comments from a new follower who was really into our deep dives. He did recommend some deep dives that we do. One of them was an abduction case I haven't heard of before. You said you heard of it. Do you remember what it's called?
I don't off the top of my head. I'm blanking. The other one he mentioned was Rendlesham Forest, and I said I'm definitely interested in that.
That's a really long one. That might even take 2 hours, that one.
Yeah, that might be an episode where we just cover that.
Right, exactly.
Because that's a convoluted mess.
There's a lot to it, right? There's that guy who's got stuff downloaded to him, and that's like a separate thing. Then what they saw on the light, and then the creatures. Like when I went, because I've read about it so many times, I've seen it in documentaries, but then there was at one point I wanted to read more, or I watched something else. Oh no, I was reading it, and I never knew that that light that they saw before the thing came down, beings and a light. They experienced that first, and then that machinery came down later on.
There is a lot to that story. The Allagash abductions were the other ones recommended.
Allagash. Okay, cool. So, I mean, people are definitely liking the deep dives. It's good because people are finding us also, because those have longevity, and people want themselves to investigate. Our show will show up in those in the search results.
Yeah.
So so it's good. It's definitely good for growth. It's good for bringing on new people to the show. We welcome all your feedback. Yeah, and let us know what to cover. And so next, the Japanese airline one is really cool. That one, right?
I'm really looking forward to that. That should be a great time.
Yeah, I think the National Archives too.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you all so much for listening. This has been episode 87 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Tell a friend about the show, and we got to beat that algorithm. So if you find our show on YouTube, go ahead, share that link to your socials, and it will help us out.
Yeah, it really helps out. Comment too, like it, just like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. But if you do like it, right? The biggest thing, like you said, though, is sharing out of platform. That's the biggest way to show that you really like it. Is sharing it off, or just even sharing it within with your family and stuff. So yeah, that'd be great. But it's good to see that the show growing. Episodes are also getting more views, which is also nice to see. Other than that, I guess we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, well, do you want to mention where listeners could find us on social media, perhaps?
Yes, we are on X. That is our only one that we're on, x.com. We might go over to other ones, if time permitting. But our handle is UAP the podcast. I'm on X as well at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher et al. And we're on all the major video platforms like YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. If YouTube ever censors us or censors a video, it'll probably be on the other platforms. So you can go watch it there. And then listen to us on all podcasting platforms as well. This started as an audio show, and we still treat it as an audio show. So when we do share online or on X, the first link is usually our podcast. So
but even if you do listen to the show on Spotify, you can watch it as a video. All you have to do is just turn your phone sideways.
That's right. Yes. So if you do watch it, if it's on Spotify, then you can watch the video as well. So I think that's about it. Oh, there's a support link on all of our links. If you like what we're doing, click on that link, and like for a cup of coffee a month or something like that. It'll definitely help with our self-esteem and motivation.
Ain't that the truth? Well, thank you all so much for listening, and we will catch you all next week.